Matthew chapter 14. Matthew chapter number 14 and verse number 13. Matthew 14, verse number 13. We've covered Herod and John the Baptist's death. Herod thinking that Jesus, that Jesus was nothing more than John the Baptist raised from the dead, which we know he wasn't. We talked about that last week. Now, here in verse number 13, Matthew chapter 14, verse number 13. But when Jesus heard of it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart. And when the people heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And so, thanks, sir. And so we have Jesus hearing that Herod thinks he is John the Baptist resurrected. And so Jesus leaves. Gets out of there. Now, this wasn't, excuse me, bad timing. This was not cowardice or fear. It was an understanding of, probably twofold to my mind, of the Father's timing. This was not time for Jesus to be captured by the authorities. That would be later. And Jesus knew that. Also, prophetic timing. It wasn't time. We know from prophecy, and we'll get into that at some point when we get to the book of Revelation about 7 years from now. And at the speed we're going, though we started the process of studying through Revelation just to try to get my head wrapped around it a little bit so that we can maybe eventually get to it. By process, I mean gathering materials. I haven't actually started getting ready to do that yet. So anyway, but we know that he would have had to been taken and crucified during the Passover week, being the Passover lamb and other prophecies there. But also because Jesus does not need to be mistaken for John the Baptist resurrected. Jesus is the Messiah. He's the Christ. He's the Son of God. Now, we don't want to mistake Jesus for anybody else. And by the way, you don't want to mistake anybody else for Jesus. You don't want to mistake, there's many Christs, false Christs coming. There have been. There are those in the past. I met a couple at the state hospital that were Christs. And so, met a few of them. You know that if you have an M in the hand, that you're the Messiah. I did not know that until I was told by one of the Messiahs that I met. And so, anyway, most of us have an M in your hand. So, by the way, that's kind of part of it. And so, this hand does not have an M except for all the old person wrinkles that have been forming there. But this hand has always had a natural M. On my left hand has always been more of a natural M. And so, by the way, I have something to tell y'all. I'm just kidding. So, anyway, everybody's looking at their hands. No, Nikki's not the Messiah, neither is Shelby.
Not me.
Good, glad to know that. Me either.
Where am I looking for?
On this line right here, it goes up, down, back up, down. This one doesn't do it. This one goes up. It does come back down, but it doesn't have the second hump, and so it looks like a tent there. So I'll read your palm later, Nikki. It's okay. We can't do that at church. I'll get in trouble. And so I'll get my tarot cards out later. I know they're not tarot cards. That's my preference anyway. I'm not a phase 10 player. I'll do Uno or skip bow, maybe a little poker, only if it's a big pot though. And so, but anyway, 2 or 3 cigarettes is enough for me. We'll play poker over that. So. Yeah, won't that be funny if I try to put a short together and it pulls this out, And so, yeah. Anyway, but don't get Jesus confused with charlatans. Don't get charlatans confused with Jesus. Don't get those that God has put in. Don't even get those that God has put in a place of authority over you confused with Jesus, because they are not that. Nobody is Jesus but Jesus. And I just thought we'd use this opportunity to tell you that only Jesus is Jesus. case you were confused. You meet a guy on the side of the road named Jesus, not Jesus. Only Jesus is Jesus, okay? And so, very important. But it's not Jesus being afraid. In fact, Jesus, I don't believe, was ever afraid. And He doesn't call us to have a spirit of fear either, but of peace and of a sound mind, right? And that comes from, just so you know, peace and a sound mind comes from you ordering your thought life and submitting your thought life to the Lord. It's more to it than peace and a sound mind. I just can't remember the verse. So, but ordering your thought life in the Lord. If you do not order your thought life in the Lord, if you do not appropriately cage inappropriate thoughts, then you'll find yourself without peace. Yesterday doesn't matter. Tomorrow doesn't matter. What is now matters, and the fact that God takes care of you now matters. And even if now stinks, God's still there, and so that's what matters. And so trust Him and let yourself have peace in the storm. We had 2 storm songs tonight, and peace in that, right? When the multitudes, as we keep reading there in verse 13, and when the people heard thereof, they followed Him on foot out of the cities. And so Jesus could escape the violence of Herod, but He could not escape the attention of the multitudes. And I'll tell you this, just a shotgun. Wednesday night's just shotgun. Take what you need and go with it. But many times we want a break. You know, I'm tired. I need a break. I need a little bit of time away, time to myself, blah, 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 blah. And thankful for it. You're going to get it. You know, you better get it. Take it. You need to get it. Right? We're going to go to St. Louis next week. Shelby will be here. Don't worry about it. So you have a piano player. Wife will not be here. Sorry, taking her with me. And so she'll be here Sundays, just not Wednesday evening. And so we're not taking a Sunday off, just on Wednesday evening. Leave her. She was mine long before she was yours. It's okay. And so, no, I'll break your arms. It's okay. She's mine. And so, but anyway, we're going to go. And Nikki's going to have the rare privilege of just doing nothing all week long. Just going to, sit in a hotel room. Yeah, sit in a hotel. We've always had kids or something, right? And so or me, because I'm bad when we go on vacation. I don't sit in a hotel room to go on vacation. If I was going to sit in a hotel room, I'll stay home. Okay?
We'll join you that way, she won't be necessarily kid-free.
No, yeah. We'll take y'all with us. There'll be children enough. Yeah. No, I don't go on vacation. So Nikki, if we go on vacation, we're doing things, we're seeing things, we're hiking mountains, riding, in jeeps, and walking down a stream, and finding ourselves out in the middle of nowhere in the Black Hills, through all these little trails that you're not sure if they exist or not, and you lose signal on your phone, so the trail map doesn't work anymore, and you just keep walking. And that's what we usually do. But I am going for work. So I'll be otherwise distracted Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So Nikki has absolutely nothing to do. Not answer y'all's texts, not answer anybody's calls, but sit there and read a book. That's what she's going to do. Read a book, or 5, or 10. Yeah, right? This is a Homewood Suites, so maybe it'll have a jacuzzi tub. I don't know. I don't stay in $400 hotel rooms on my own dime, but Nucor's dime's fine on me. And so that's where we'll be. And so, yeah, Nucor doesn't put us up in the Motel 6, and I'm thankful for that. But anyway, well, that's where Terrell State would have put me up at. So actually, Terrell State would have just said, look, we have this empty room and over here, and you can stay there. I did go to Rusk one time, but I didn't have to stay the night, so I don't know what they would have put me up in. But anyway, the point here is, we're circling back Saki here. The point being, wouldn't you hate if your name was known for something silly? And so we now have this new thing. It's called Circle Back Saki. Everybody understand the reference? So Jen Psaki, when she was Biden's press secretary, she would never answer any questions. She'd just say, circling back. We'll circle back to that later. We'll circle back to that later. We'll circle back to that later. But never circle back to anything. And so the new catchphrase amongst conservatives is, we'll circle back Psaki. And so, anyway, coming back, circle back Sake over here. Yeah, not Japanese liquor, okay? Yeah. Yeah, my mind's spinning because of this. No, not that. Please stop. Circling back here. Not even that. Circling back over here, though. You have to understand, Jesus' example here is, even when you're getting away, you're not away. You're still God's child. You still have a ministry. You still have something for Him that He might have for you. So you might have to find yourself. My wife does this. She's everybody's counselor. She's the shoulder to cry on, the whipping post, whatever it happens to be that day. And people who can't stand, who are always rude and all that, will find themselves sitting in a chair across from Nikki's desk, telling her their life story and crying on her desk. That's Nikki. So it would not surprise me in the least, while she's in St. Louis, 9 hours away from everybody, wanting to read a book in her room, that some housekeeper inadvertently is going to open the door, and it's going to be the day her husband left her. And she's going to sit down with Nikki, and Nikki's going to have to minister. That may not happen, but if she called me and said, "You're not going to believe this," my answer is, "Sure I will." And so, but you're never not in the ministry as a Christian. You say, "Wait, no, I didn't go to Bible college and I'm not a ministry person." Yes, you are. All of you are in some sort of ministry. You're all children of God, ambassadors for Christ, and you have a duty to fulfill for the Lord. Now, you remember Sunday's message, right? Anybody remember Sunday's message? Being Spirit-controlled doesn't mean you can't do nothing. And so, you don't get away with that. I'm not your spirit. That's one of the shifts we've made. So, no, I wasn't building up the whole year to trick you and bring you into last Sunday's sermon. It just was really good, though. So anyway, but the point here is he went away. He escaped from Herod and all that, but he could not escape from the crowds. Could not escape from those that need ministry. You don't get a day off as a Christian because there might be somebody nearby that needs what you have. Now, you don't want to burn yourself out, so don't do it in your power of your flesh. If you're going to go on vacation, stinking go on vacation. Don't go on vacation with the idea that I'm going to minister, where I'm going to go and I'm going to visit a church and I'm going to preach. Sorry. So, which is what I did a couple weekends ago. But don't make this like I'm going to go. And my mind used to be that way. Like, how can I go? We'll find a church on Wednesday night, and how can we be a blessing in the church? Blah blah blah. Let's do something. Blah blah blah. No. You need to go to church, okay? Maybe just watch YouTube. I don't care anymore. Really don't. If you watch us on YouTube on vacation, that just increases our membership, being a part of it. So appreciate that. But but if you go to a church, that's cool too. But don't go seeking necessarily ministry. Take a break, rest. But when a ministry opportunity presents itself, don't run from it either, because Jesus wants us to be ministers. One said this about the multitudes and their diligence. Or more about Christ's ability. I don't. Let me go back. But he said this: if Christ set up a pulpit at an alehouse door, some would hear him off. Okay, I get I didn't get it until just now. And so, anyway, these multitudes wanted truth. These multitudes wanted what Jesus had. And you think about this. You're living in an era where John the Baptist's head's cut off. Jesus is in Herod's sights as, did I not kill him enough? Do I need to kill him again to get rid of John the Baptist? The multitudes decide they are going to follow Jesus anyway. Now listen to this. Can we find church members as diligent as the multitude in that day? Can we find church members that will walk from the city to the country in order to get to church? Let me be honest with you, and you be honest with me. No. Let's just be honest. No. Not enough just to say no. I would venture to say that I mean, all statistics are made up on the spot, right? You understand that. But I'd venture to say in my 12 years of experience, my 20 years being in church, 20 years being saved, 25 years being in church, I'd venture to say the answer to that is a resounding, overwhelmingly no. No. I think it's more true that church members sniffle and find a reason not to be at church. And I'm not castigating our church. We honestly have a very stable attendance from Sunday morning to Wednesday. We do. Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesdays. Fairly stable attendance. Yeah, I know there's only 11 here tonight, but some churches go from 100 on Sunday to 10 on Sunday night. So I feel like we're at a pretty stable there, which has its own drawbacks. Like, why don't we have more guests, on Sunday morning? So that, you know what I'm saying? There's positive and negative to this. But the idea here is no, resoundingly no. The modern church will not come to church if the coffee's out. Regardless of coming to church if we were to have it outside and you didn't have a car and we had to run a shuttle around. I think our attendance would drastically change if we didn't have AC and you didn't have a car and we had to run a shuttle around. I think our attendance would change. You tell me it's not true. Prove me wrong. Let me put a placard here. Prove me wrong. You won't. I won't believe you. We'll test it out. So Sunday morning, what I want to do is, and it's the right time of year for this, Sunday morning we're going to turn the air off. We're going to turn the water off. There's going to be no toilets, no coffee. Somebody didn't like that outside, but it's okay. They did too much fitness. Something done fell off as they were backing out. But so we're gonna come in. I'm gonna turn the air off. We're gonna turn the water off. I'm gonna remove the chairs, and we're gonna have church standing with no air, no bathrooms, no water, no nothing. We're gonna just come in here. We're gonna have church Sunday that way. I guarantee you this. I guarantee you this. Our attendance isn't going to be as good Sunday night after Sunday morning. You might put up with it if you walk into it because you're less likely just to walk back out. But if I tell you at the end of Sunday morning service, yeah, this is going to be for a few months, I guarantee you attendance is going to... Now, I'm not trying to harangue you because you're here on a Wednesday night. So you might make that Sunday evening. Or you might not, I don't know. But what I am saying is these people followed somebody whose head was on a chopping block for all intents and purposes. Out into the country. We find out here in a little while they didn't bring no food with them. We find out here in just probably next week, because I'm going to go ahead and cut us after this verse. One verse, wow, we got so much done. We're going to find out here in just a minute that next week, a week after next, we'll find out that they didn't bring food. We'll find out that they were tired. We'll find out they became faint, yet they followed Jesus. I would say that in modern society, if Jesus, and this is me summarizing what the man said, if Jesus were to put a pulpit in front of the ale house, he'd have more faithful parishioners than he does in front of the church house. If we were to take him down to the bar, we'd have a more faithful congregation. Not because y'all are drunks, but because they're there. They'd rather go there than come to church. If we go to the baseball game, we'll have better attendance at the baseball game than we'll at church. But these people left their comfort. And once again, shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it. I'm not trying to say that our church stinks and y'all are a bunch of reprobates and I can't believe how pathetic y'all are Christians. If shoe fits, wear it. But I am saying that is the state of the modern church. No, I'm not a universalist and I don't believe in a universal church, but I just say that as a word to say church as without as. The modern church idea is that if it's comfortable, if it entertains me, if it feeds me, quote unquote. By the way, if I don't feed you for the next year, you ought to still be full, because you need to have the daily time with God. If it feeds you, if it's convenient, if your family's not in town, if this, if that, if I meet all these, you got more criteria, not you. There are more criteria today for church attendance than any other thing. The stars have to align for people to go to church nowadays. I mean, it seems that way. And these people followed Jesus hungry, tired, out into the country. Now, I'm not, once again, I can see how there were times where my preacher, Brother Augie, would preach things like that, and I would sit in the pulpit, I would sit in the pew going, well, I'm so glad I didn't invite my family. Now, I didn't preach in the manner he would have preached it, but the whole point here is that, and I don't think our church suffers from it too greatly. I really don't. I think there's times I don't want to come to church. Right, you know the old joke of the man who gets, his wife's trying to get him out of bed and he won't get out of bed. And nobody likes me. Everybody hates me. They don't even want me there. I'm not going. Wife says, but you're the pastor. So yeah. But anyway, the whole point is I don't always like going to church. To be honest with you, I come home on a Wednesday. I'm getting ready for we truck in, eat, and truck out. We're getting ready to get here, and I'm just sometimes I don't want to be here. Okay, I don't want to put this thing on. Yeah, thank you. I got one on my side, and soon we won't be wearing this thing anymore. Okay, yeah. So, but I wish, man, if it weren't for peers. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not doing a stool. No, I can't do it. I can't do a stool. No. Yeah, banjo now. We got our ukulele at the house. I've been practicing so. And guitar, and I do have a lap dulcimer, so I like to do that. But anyway, the whole point here is let's do this so we can be done. Is how important is following the Lord to you? What criteria pulls you out of the race? What criteria pulls you out? Is it convenience? Are you falling into the practical? Are you not desiring to, but practically falling into the crowd of, well, you don't have to go to church to go to heaven. You don't. I mean, I know you wouldn't say that if I asked you, like, raise of hand. Can I get a hands raised of all the people that don't, you or that mentality, you don't have to go to church to go to heaven, and that's kind of how you feel about things. Now, that's a truth, but it's not a right attitude. Make sense? Truth, but not a right attitude. And none of y'all, well, hopefully none of y'all would raise your hand that, that's me, take or leave church. I'll come here when I come, blah, blah, blah. Now, I hope that's not any of you. I don't think it's any of you except for Brother Magnan. I don't know. I'll tell you out, all of y'all can all, I'm honored every time with Brother Magnan being here all the time. I am, because he's a quiet guy, and I think he could probably just, take people and drop them off a cliff and be okay not seeing anybody ever again, yet he comes to church. And so I appreciate that because I feel the struggle, right? Like drop kick society off the edge of the earth, I'd be happy. And so, but anyway. I understand them, and that's even worse. So the point here is, if you're you may not have that attitude, but are you practically kind of living that way? Where if I go, I go. If I don't, I don't. It's not important. This kind of thing where you're not arranging things to try to be in the Lord's presence daily and in a congregational sense, right?